Hello, everyone. Welcome to April 17 Zeam call. And today we will get deeper into DevNet 4 runs and debuggings and fixes. And we might lightly discuss DevNet 5. So let's start with the updates. I think Partha will join in 15-20 minutes. So we can start from Anshul.
Yeah, so during the week I worked on adding parallelism. So for that I haven't pushed it yet, but I have created like a separate repo for thread pools using which we can configure like a thread pool with n number of threads, and it will basically we can schedule different processes there. And it can be like it shouldn't be dependent on Zeam assets. So I was like referring to some of the standard threading packages that have been like vocal pool packages that have been implemented. Based on that, like I've done an implementation, testing it out. Apart from that, yesterday I was looking into the issue. So earlier I thought the beam command issue, I thought it was related to the seg fault. So I fixed that using logs, but turns out like Pata has already rolled out another fix, which basically does a SSE serialization of the blocks and copying of those bytes. Earlier we had like shallow copy of the blocks, which was causing issue because another thread was denetting the block, which was leading one of the thread to point to a already denetted address space, which was causing an issue. I had fixed it using log, but I think like the serialization approach and storing the copying that is better. So I have closed my PR. I was also looking into the
So just on this, so if there is a thread that is using something that was deleted by another thread, so can we just create a PR on that so that I can see what exactly was the issue
yeah, I
and
have
not
created
mix
a
it
PR.
with other stuff. I just want to focus and see what exactly was happening and why threads were racing.
Yeah, so I had ye- yeah I had created that PR yesterday. I closed it today because it was related to we have like fetched blocks in our network struct, and that fetched block map was being accessed by the main thread as well as by the network thread. So one of the thread was freeing some of these blocks after reaching finalization, but it was being pointed out by another thread. So it was able to access those memory space since it was like a shallow copy, but the denetting had already been occurred because we prune it once finalization is achieved. So I had
So
added a few changes.
if we have pruned it, then why were we using it? Why was other thread using it?
So I think it had already copied it somehow, and these threads were racing. I don't. So I I think I have described it in the PR itself. So it was
Okay.
being used while caching. So while we try to process these cached blocks, but I don't really recall the exact flow here.
So basically, we basically need to see what is the exact flow, because if you were fetching and adding something into fork choice, that means that uh, you're basically, the backfill needs to complete before you can add blocks on top of it. So you can't actually prune. Uh, I want to see why the pruning was happening while the backfill block that you fetched was still there.
Hmm. Okay,
Because
I'll send you the PR.
mm, because no block could be added on top of chain. So why is there a pruning happening, right? So
Yeah, yeah, I'll send you the PR. Apart from that, I raised another PR today regarding the changes that we have made in the with the folk digest and the URL of the topic propagation that we do on the networking side. So there were changes that were made on the spec side of the things, and we have plans to Partha was coordinating it. Sharik made this change, and Partha informed me like we plan to release this today. Although he is talking with other client teams as well that we'll release this in today's release. So yeah, I have already raised the PR. Partha has already approved it as well.
Replacing the net zero with fork digest. That
Yeah, yeah.
is okay.
So that is another thing. Apart from that, like I was also looking into like the event loop and how we weren't able to schedule it on the single thread. But I think now we plan to have a separate networking thread. So I think I can refactor the libxcv uh, event loop to not schedule it anywhere and just use the timer there for ticks.
I mean, why is libxcv is currently not scheduling it anything, right? It just
Yeah.
directly calls it. So what is that we are trying to change?
So right now, like we have comments all over the code base that it should ideally schedule there, and we are passing an additional boolean flag to basically see the basically tell it that it shouldn't try to schedule in this particular libxcv thread. So I think we don't intend to do it. We plan to have networking and the main thread separate of each other. So why not just use remove it altogether and just have them separately in the different threads.
Mock will still schedule it. I think that was for the mock, because what really happens is that mock has no thread running of themselves. So mock network, when you are passing the gossip, you would
Mm-hmm.
want to schedule it post the events that have occurred on the other thing. So basically, you would want to schedule it so that the events on the peer, they first get consumed before you start consuming the block, because otherwise, in when you are in the mock, basically when you are sending through gossip, you are basically triggering other peers compute, right? Your chain processing,
Mm-hmm.
which basically ideally is not how it should happen. But yes, just keeping in mind this thing, you can think about this, but maybe we can totally reduce mock as well. But I think mock helps us to separate out the networking concerns from chain processing. So I'm not sure whether we should remove mock, but yeah, think about it
Okay.
and let me know what your thoughts are on this.
Yeah, sure. I'll look into it. Yeah, that's it from my end.
Got it. So yeah, okay. Let's move to anything on DevNet 5.
So yeah, I had this conversation with Email about multi-message aggregation. I informed him about the requirements from our end about like so he told me that ideally we should have only 2 to 3 slots of these different messages, and we can have like multiple messages for maybe 3 different slots. So I informed him that we'll ideally want 2 slots where we'll have like multiple messages, and another slot where we'll have like a single message, which will be like the block message that the proposer will be signing. So in total, we'll have like 2 slots which will contain 8 attestation datas, and one slot that will have like the block message, basically the hash of the block. So he told me like this information helps, and he'll start working on to it as soon as he gets some bandwidth. But I don't know like if he has already started working on it or now.
Can you explain this thing again? I understand it, restrictions plus one for block, but what is the two slot thing that you mentioned?
Yeah, so he told me that we can support multi-message aggregation, but he wants to limit the number of slots on which these messages has been generated, ideally to 2 to 4 number. I was saying that it will not exceed over 9, because we can the maximum number of attestation data that is packed within a block is 8, plus one is like the block
Okay, because we would want to back previous slots
Yes.
sessions into the next one. Okay, got it. Now understand the problem that you're mentioning.
Yeah. So also I saw your message on the DevNet 5 channel that maybe we will need previous data. So I was thinking if we have like if every validator is attesting on each of the slot, uh, then do we really need to pack like the previous slot data onto the new attestation data? Uh,
Yes, because if you look at the problem that was being discussed in DevNet 4 itself, right, which was related to Kai's PR regarding latest justified, and actually the reversion of it, right? If you look at it, so look at the sequence of how the blocks come, right? So you have a chain, and
mhm.
then you get a block from a side chain, which justifies uh, a new slot, right? But even if that is your parent, so basically you don't. So on your own local viewpoint, you don't reverse the chain because you have the same common ancestor, and then you have built a block or voted on something that you already had in your chain. So you don't. So your LMD rule basically says that even still the previous chain is ahead, right? But now that previous chain's head block will not have the latest justified because it will have the old latest justified because only the side chains attestations justified it, right? And since you got them in block, you don't have them in aggregated payloads. So you will need to pack them because now you will need to use the new justified, right? So how will you do that as source? So you will need to pack all those attestations that you saw on the side so that you can move your justified forward. Understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
just
I
with this,
understand it, but I'll go through it once again, and then maybe we can have a discussion. I'll ping you when I'm ready to have a discussion around this.
yeah, just go through it, look at that PR, the context, and look at basically how the blocks were being added in the chain.
Hmm.
And that is the reason that, so the point is that the chain that you were building on, that chain you had locally, that
Mm-hmm.
you got your justification moved forward because of the side chain, right?
Yeah.
And now, but since that is still the common ancestor between the two side chains to which justification move forward, that means your current chain is still the head because not only you got the votes who justified it or onto your chain, but you also got your own additional vote, for example,
Hmm.
onto your current chain. So your current head still wins because the block that you added, you haven't got a block after that. So there is no votes that favors that block and that new side chain. So you have your still main chain and you want to build on top of it, but now you know that justifies has moved ahead. So you need to
But
pack all those votes to move the justified in your next produced block state.
but justified has moved forward on the side chain, and I have to change my canonical
So,
view to the side chain.
no, you don't have to change you have to change your canonical view of the votes to the side chain. You don't change your canonical view to the side chain. So side chains attestations moved the justified forward, right? To still a common ancestor that was between your chains. Now your original head, it has old justified. It does not has new justified. So now when you are producing block on top of it,
Hmm.
you need to make sure that you need to get all the votes that move the justified forward.
Yeah, but I can still get those votes if I iterate over through the blocks on the new justified chain. I'll have to update
But
my.
let's say, but let's you can still make the blocks, but you didn't get those votes. You got them through a pack block, right?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll have the attestation bits there. So I can just move forward from the latest justified block till the new head, on the new canonical chain, and I'll still have like attestation data and the attestation bits for that particular data. So
Yes, but you
using
also
that,
need
I can.
to, no, you also need to pack those on the block, right? New block that you are producing. Otherwise, how are you moving the head state to the new justified? So the new block that you will be producing will move the head state to the new justified.
Hmm. Okay, let's discuss it later. I'll think about it.
Yeah, just look at it and then we can discuss about it. Maybe
Yeah.
there is some easier resolution. One other resolution was just to switch the chain to the one that moved justified. So basically, you switch your head to the new block that moved the justified forward, but then it is an attack vector in the sense that uh, always somebody can produce a new justified point starting from the old justified point and create a new branch, right? So that is not really viable.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
okay, just think about it and let's see. But the thing is that ability to repack is always, easier, makes things easier to collate all the information and pack in a new produce block.
Yeah, but if we want that ability, then we won't be able to proceed with multi-message aggregation, and then we'll have like bigger blocks, and overall the network bandwidth will increase, because it's for then for each attestation data we'll have to have one aggregated payload alongside the block signature. So instead of one proof plus per block, we'll have 8 proofs per block plus one block signature.
Right. So that is why we need multi-message to support independent validation so that they can be repacked. I
Yeah.
mean, it should be possible because it's a VM and they can support it. So, I mean, this is something that they will need to support. They will need to support repacking. Otherwise, things will be very restricted. All right, let's move on to Kai.
This week, uh, almost doing test and fix some issues. Um, so there is fix one issues about gossips up RPC message size. Other client use 10 and we use 4. Yeah. So but it seems uh, lost. So I see Pasa make another PR for this, and also and another one is the we have some error in the log. There are which is publish duplicate. So yeah, so we don't have the duplicate the validate in this. Yeah, and I also rebased the DevNet 4 branch to the shadow branch and tested the new version and make the shadow network works again. Mm. And today I saw Katia send a log. I saw another issues. So there is a difference in Zeam and Linspec. So in Zeam we just tolerate the block for one slot, but not attestation. But in lean spike, the attestation and the block both have toleration one slot. So we can see some error logs, attestation too far in the Zeam log.
But uh, don't we cache the attestation too far because for the basically future attestation and then play it? Because I remember that you were doing a PR on it where you were basically caching the attestation and uh, using it when the slot ticked.
Which which
So, so I remember that you doing some PR, which was like, I think we have a PR which caches a future block and plays it. I think that is what you are talking about for a block. And I remember you were doing something similar for attestations.
yes, but uh, but in current code base, so I haven't checked this sometimes. So, but in current code base, besides the error log, I also came across this issue when I implement the new lean spike test vector. I also found this issue. So one test failed.
Okay.
Yes. So maybe I can check it again. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, do check it and see what's happening over there because I mean, why are we getting, first of all, why are we getting attestations in future? Or is it that our interval has not ticked yet? So this was the reason where we were getting blocks before our interval could be ticked, and we needed to cache it, right? So that is where we need it. So why are we needing this in attestation? So we basically need to check whether, again, similar, we have a similar issue where our interval ticking has not been processed and we are getting something on the gossip. So can you check what exactly is the scenario happening? Because whatever solution we are doing, whatever fixes we are doing, we basically need to actually look into what exactly happened and then do a correct fix rather than just patching it, so that we understand what is the behavior that is happening on the network, and this will help us build a better client and know that we will basically launch a production client at Elstar hard fork. So we definitely have to be production grade, and we should totally understand what goes on in a network so that we can we can build a high quality client.
Okay.
All right. So on the spec test, are we on parity with the spec test in the spec I?
Yes. I for spec test, I already almost finished it by the end of last week. But I need I need rebase the latest code for this week's change.
Okay, let's see. So Nupur, one of the things that I want you to do is basically collect the things that we discussed, for example, on the last call, and bring them up so that we know that how far we have progressed, and also maintain what we discuss, the things that we need to fix. So what are the to-dos that we discuss on call-to-call basis and sort of present it. So this is something that I want you to track and present on each call. What was the discussion that happened in the last call and what was needed to be fixed? Because I see that some of the issues seem to be trickling down, trickling further down into future.
Okay. Okay.
So let's move to Partha. Or before Partha, let's
Yeah,
move to
thanks.
Katya.
Yeah, hello everyone. So regarding these issues moving from call to call, I can confirm that this debug log issue was solved. So currently I see the debug log like a normal log. So this one is fixed. But the main thing, Partha, when you restart the client, if you need this log, you need to download it first because yeah, when it restarts, the data folder is getting overwritten.
Yeah,
So-
unfortunately, I realized it only after I ran. So I thought it would already be on Grafana, but then it was my
Now, this
misunderstanding.
this log, this specific debug log, is not exposed to Grafana because Grafana like Docker logs, and this log, I don't know, it seems like outstanding. So why it's in the data folder? So I think Docker doesn't follow this log. So it's separate.
But
I don't know.
if the console log is debug log, then it should also show up in Docker logs, and by that logic should also show in Grafana logs.
I will try to find out. So I just noticed it this morning, so I checked this. If it contains or not. Yeah, I will find out after the call. So my updates, while currently Partha is working on the DevNet 4, it's like huge code refactoring. So he's testing on the go all the changes and running DevNet 4. While I was working on the metrics side and updated metrics, PR, merged it, and Grafana dashboards in Link Quick Start and in metrics repo. And I was also working on the Zclaw integration. So I work on Grafana alerts, and I want to Zclaw to connect to stay connected on these alerts. But the problem is that bots can't communicate in Telegram. So my alert bot can't trigger Zclaw bot. So the one solution is to use webhooks for alerts. But for this, we need some endpoint on the Zclaw server, like to open the port. It's possible to, I don't know, to get specific verification for Grafana if needed. Is it possible or not? Do we have a like IP address external or?
Yes, we already have something like that. Sonobur, can you provide her the IP address and the port so that she can post the alerts to directly to Zclaw?
So I can further proceed with Nupur, right? So and we will open this
Yep.
port specifically for Grafana. Okay, so I'm also
Port is already open, so I guess you should just be able to use it.
okay.
We haven't put any authentication on it, right, Nupur?
I'm sorry, I missed that. Like, are we talking about Grafana access for Zclaw?
Yeah, so
It's
basically,
not, it's like a webhook, so it will send messages.
Oh, the webhooks, yes, it is open. The webhooks is open, so there is no authentication. Yes, yes. I'll share that. I'll share. Yeah.
Okay, we will get back to it
but
after
with
the
regard
call.
to that, we should also put on some authentication, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so from the Grafana side, it's possible. So we can do this. And whenever we have this webhooks, Zclaw can follow the DevNet runs and notify like some issues. But I'm not satisfied with his investigations. To be honest, they need to be checked because. What it gives to me, like I provide logs, I ask to investigate, and it actually does a lot of errors. So sometimes it makes it wrong. So I need to double check and ask a lot of follow-up questions. So please don't rely fully on Zclaw. So maybe later, I'm not sure. If it gets more skills, maybe it can improve this process. So I will just follow his investigations. But currently, I will check it first what it gives, because I can't like provide it automated just in the tooling channel, for example, because it may be wrong. So so it still needs to be checked. Yeah, this is my update.
So we can start by posting it in a new Zeam channel, right? So, and see how it's going, and then over time we can move it to the tooling channel if we see that it is most of the times giving meaningful
Yeah.
updates.
So first, we need to follow for some time. If how good are these investigations? Like, yeah, we can do this. We can do channel in the Zeam community.
Right. We
So
can start
I
from
will
it. It's better that we start directly from Zeam community, because I think if someone basically wants to look at how the bots are performing, so it will give us good insight to every one of us. And if we then
and
see that it's mostly noise, then we can probably move it to some other dev group, so that but if it's giving good,
I also I also wonder who can trigger the Clawbot. I'm trying to teach him to give the logs by request. So this is what I'm teaching it now, and I wonder if anyone can trigger it, or only those with specific rights, or how it works.
so as I understand, we have the rights of basically of the people who can trigger it. So are you trying to trigger it on Telegram, or are you trying to trigger it through GitHub?
On Telegram, yeah.
So
So I wonder,
then
just for
can-
further service, if there is, if it's possible to grant rights just for triggering logs or something like this. So not full rights, but something like more strict.
So I mean, whatever rights you want to sort of customize is something that you will ask it to customize, and it will do it in workflow. But if you're asking about Telegram does not provide these kind of customized rights or roles, right? So it probably will be able to encode it in its own workflows, right, Nubur?
Okay, we'll see it. So another idea I have is I want to ask Parsa so to have some monitor on DevNet runs. For example, we can provide some info which validators are currently running with these peers. So it could be done on for example, on Nemo integrated or something like this. So everyone from the clients could see like which validator set we have, and etc. Like more extended info
Okay.
if needed.
Yeah, we can have a conversation on that, on what you want.
Yeah.
I'll try including that in Nemo or any of the other tools that we have.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's it from my side.
Cool.
Okay.
Let's move to
I can
Nubur
go.
before
Oh,
we
sorry.
move to Java, because we will bug you more. Partha. So, Nupur, do you want to go first?
Yeah.
Alright.
So I do not have much updates. I just like reviewed a couple of PRs and like helped in Reese creation, and I tested a little bit of the Zeam. And like going further, I also wanted to test Zeam further because I see a lot of issues that are open, but they're like with comments that they should resolve this, but there is no further testing, and like the issues are not closed, saying that okay, these issues are resolved. So I think further testing is needed there, and I'll take those up.
Yeah, I think Nupur, if you could basically focus on running it and trying out different things, and again, going through the
Yeah.
issues that everyone is facing or we have documented somewhere and seeing how we are crunching it or basically escalating it to people
Yeah. Yeah.
to take care
Okay.
of them, right? So, yeah,
Yes.
that it's a more intense product management kind of a role.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, from my side, I've started looking into trying out the DevNet for things myself, and was facing with some of the segmentation faults that Partha, Anshul, and everyone else is helping me with. So thank you for all that. And what I basically want to test is that I basically want to see and run Zeam on a local machine in a local DevNet form, where basically and see that all the behaviors that Zeam is producing are basically according to what we expect it to do, and and basically we have a robust client. So that is my concern as of now, apart from thinking for DevNet 5, but can be done for multi-message aggregation so that we have a single signature for the entire block. Uh, so that's what I've been doing. Okay, now let's, yes, Katya.
Sorry, before we move to Parsa, I think I forgot to mention this issue Ziklo opened. So I asked him while I was investigating regarding attestations. So this may be connected to Anshul, your work you're doing now, maybe with pruning or so please take a look into it. If they are related or not, and if they are related, just mention it in your PR, so it will be closed later automatically. Thank you.
Awesome. So let's move to Partha.
Right. I spent last week debugging and running DevNet 4 on Lean Quick Start. I initially started off with multiple subnets, but ran into several issues because there were discrepancies in Lean multisig commit hash for each client. So then resolved to running a single subnet DevNet, which was stable, but that resulted in a couple of issues which I have fixed on Zeam. But today's restart can complete only after we have that fork digest PR result. So Anshul, I believe the CI has failed again. If you can have a look and let me know once that's there,
Yeah,
I'll.
it's surprising because it worked locally, but yeah,
Yeah, I
I'll
know. So yeah, once I received confirmation from everyone, every other client, then I'll restart DevNet today. The other, surprising bug that I came across was the fix that I applied seems to work on the Ubuntu server and my machine, but it fails on Gajendra and Nupur's machine. And I just got an update from Gayam that it's failing for him. And Gayam reckons it could be a Zig compiler bug itself. So I just want to confirm, I was using the AnyZig compiler to build. I'm not sure if all of you are using the same or is it a different compiler. So can we probably try with AnyZig, Gajendra and Nupur, and see if that probably solves the problem. But I understand general protection fault may get resolved, but there are several segmentation fault errors after that too. So that also requires further investigation. So yeah, that has been my major focus. I've also integrated Hive, but it failed overnight due to some other issue. I've resolved that by a fix, but I'm hoping that should solve the problem. If not, I'll continue to test that. Yeah, that has been my update for the past.
So I'm using the default compiler from the Zig Zig,
Yeah.
website. So is that any Zig or is it any different, or is it a
No,
different one?
AnyZig is different. AnyZig compiler lets you choose the Zig version per project. So it is essentially a fork. I've shared the AnyZig compiler link here. So if you can,
It is
try with
basically
that,
like
maybe.
NVM kind of a stuff.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, even if it's NVM kind of a stuff, it should essentially give me the same compiler, right? So
I don't know. Because it's a binary itself is completely different. So maybe they have something that again, I got into this line of thinking based on what Gaim pinged me, saying that it could probably be a compiler bug because it seems to affect only x86 machines with AVX enabled. So I don't know what's going on.
I think it is like valid line of thinking because recently I updated my Mac OS and I got into a bug that isn't so the default binary that gets downloaded from Zix doesn't support it. I had to update my binary with a different compilation that somebody had proposed with Brew. So it worked on that, but the latest macOS 26 doesn't support Zig 0.15.2 that is given by default by the Zig library itself, Zig Foundation itself. So it might be the case, although like I think it's long shot, but yeah.
So
yeah,
I built one.
tried. I think the simple resolution is just to try it and see, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So on the Ubuntu server, when I built it, I used this AnyZig compiler, and it worked there. Although I got some segmentation faults, it did not result in general protection faults. So
Got it. So I will try it out and see what's happening and let you know. So basically, Ubuntu, Nupur, why don't you try it out first and let us know so that I can focus on something else?
Actually, I tried AnyZig, and again, the general protection error was I did not get it with AnyZig, and but the segmentation fault was there.
Oh.
Segmentation fault comes on later on, right? When
Yes, yes, yes. So it is after, like, so the stage, the general. So the earlier error was not there, but segmentation fault came later, much later.
yeah, that is when node 3 starts.
Yes,
to
yes, yes.
segment,
When
right?
node 3 starts,
Yeah.
yes.
So Anshul had some PR for it, and I need to check what's happening over there.
Yeah. So that is the condition between the threads that I mentioned earlier.
Right, right. So Anshul, can you reshare me that PR so that I can look into it?
Yeah, I'll do that after this call.
Cool. All right, guys. So the focus is stability, robustness, making sure that Zeam is a client that can depend upon. One thing I want to mention, Partha, is that let's do multi-subnet testing in the sense that let's have 4 subnets, assign each subnet aggregator. Let's have one client as one subnet aggregator so that we can find and resolve these issues in parallel, not only for our client, but also for other clients.
Okay.
So let's do that so that all clients are aggregator at the same time, but only for one particular subnet.
Yeah.
So that,
I forgot to
that is
mention
the maximal configuration in which we'll surface things pretty quickly.
Yeah. You had asked for running multiple subnets on local DevNet itself, right? I have the PR
Yeah.
ready for, rather, I have the commit ready for it. It's part of the same thing. So you should be in a position to spin up multiple subnet DevNet on local machines as well.
Right. Once we resolve the beam command, that is.
Yeah, once we resolve, yeah, that's true.
And
So-
yes, that is the next thing I wanted to do. But if there are any PRs that you want to merge onto Lean Quickstart, just do that, right? So
Yeah, I
for
mean,
DevNet 4.
today's run restart can happen only after that fork digest PR goes live. So once
Got it.
that's done, I'm looking to spin multiple subnet, and I also have the spec PR that you suggested on switching a node from non-aggregated to aggregated. But I had a follow-up question. You suggested that this should happen on its own, right? So is there an idea, or what's your line of thinking? How do you
So
want to do this?
idea is that a node basically sees that it's no more getting aggregate, so it decides to promote itself as an aggregate.
So, but if
It's like
multiple nodes
it's
do
like
that,
doppelganger, right? So
yeah, no, but my question is, if multiple nodes within a subnet promote themselves after seeing to an aggregator, then you would have all aggregators in the same subnet, which could result in performance degradation, right?
so basically you can do a random wake in the sense that you can say that, okay, this node will randomly see for 2 slots, this will see for 4 slots, this will see for 6 slots. So you can do this kind of randomization where a node on a random basis can select that, okay, these are
Okay.
the slots that I need to observe before starting aggregation. So in that way it can probably be handled. But I mean, this is more, I mean, maybe this can also be done in production nodes as well, where you have a flag where you have self promotion flag on, so that you can do that. And I think those who have capable hardware should do that. Other
Mhm.
thing is basically have validator weight based assignments, which is basically paired as kind of a configuration that I have been talking about. But we can do that later on, because right now we want more deterministic testing and debugging.
Okay.
So for that case, I basically suggest that we have this RPC call that I mentioned over there, where you
Yeah.
can switch on and off aggregation on the fly without not being brought down and brought back up. So if we can basically do a spec PR for that, and then you guys should be able to uh, deterministically switch on and off aggregator roles as well, and this would also help you in your debugging, even if
Yeah.
none of the nodes go down, right? So that would be
Yeah.
pretty
The
good.
spec PR is ready though. I just have to implement this on Zeam, but I'm waiting for. If you can take a look, I'm waiting for Toma to have a look at it as well.
Right, cool. So I'll take a look, and yeah, I think this
Sure. Thank
will help us in our debuggings, and can also help someone later on if they want to manually switch their nodes to an aggregator. Yes, Katya.
Just a follow-up question that my understanding is correct. So if we have only one aggregator in the subnet and we lose it, so the finality will stall, right? So it's critical.
Yes. Yes, so
Okay.
that is one of the validations that you need to do, that if you have only one aggregator in the subnet and you stop it, and then those subnet attestations should not be pegged in the block. Otherwise, this means that people are just listening to gossip attestations and not basically doing the right thing, which is listening only to aggregated attestations, right? So this is a validation that you need to do as well, that once you bring the
This
aggregator
is
down, that node should not be packing the attestations from other node into the block.
this is what happened in the last run. So we lost Zeam as an aggregator, and finality just stalled. So
Yeah,
the
so
issue.
when you do that, you should also make sure that the blocks are produced with empty attestations or at max attestations of its own on client, because you can basically consume your own attestation, right? So some clients might have made this optimization. So apart from that, there shouldn't be any attestation. If you lose all the aggregators for a particular subnet. So those subnet attestations should not show up in the block. So this is one of
I
the
wonder if
verifications
we
and
have this.
validations that everyone has implemented it correctly.
Yeah, I wonder if we have this in Hive test, so probably later we can check.
Yep. Makes sense. Cool. Anything else we want to discuss? All right, so focus remains DevNet for debuggings and robustness, and let's go over it. Anshul, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was saying that my CI on my PR failed, but surprisingly, only the Docker build failed on Ubuntu x86, but it works on Ubuntu ARM. So I have just redone the CI. I'll look into it, Partha.
Okay, sounds good. I changed the build script for Docker to disable AVX. I'm not sure if that caused the failure on Ubuntu, but worked on Mac. I don't know. But my PR, I don't think you rebased to mine, so I'm not sure if that would still be an issue.
I have rebased to main, and I believe main works fine, so it shouldn't be the issue. But yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys. So see you next week on 24th April, and before that on Wednesday call.
Sure. Sounds good.
Let's
Bye.
keep tracking.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.